Hi, everyone. I'm very excited and honored to be here with all of you today. And I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Randall and Heather and Aquarius Press, Willow Books, and everyone involved in putting this together. I'll be reading an abbreviated excerpt from my novel entitled Transoceanic Lights. This is a flashback scene that takes place on the day of the wedding between the mother and father of the protagonist. Ma broke from the crowd and stood beside the old man. Her sister sauntered over, her face flushed red, her eyes staggering within their sockets. "I can't believe you're getting married," she said. "It felt like only yesterday when we were just... Oh, don't mind me, I'm just being sentimental. By the way, I wanted to ask you something. Who is that?" "Do I know her?" Aunt asked, pointing to the most conspicuous person in the room, a woman in a yellow dress. "A friend of one of his brothers, I think," Ma replied. "Who the hell does she think she is, coming to a wedding like that? If I didn't know better, I'd have thought she was the bride. If this was my wedding, I'd go right up to her and..." "Oh, it doesn't bother me," Ma said. "I just think it's funny, watching her hold down the ruffles of her dress. It's like the dress is wearing her instead." They stood together for a moment, the three of them, in the corner of their house, its tiles warmed by the friction of strangers' souls, while cameras flickered like tiny bursts of silent lightning. Ma watched as her new husband wove through the crowd, greeting and entertaining all the guests like a suave showman, his hair gelled, a drink in hand. She had never seen him like this before. After a few broken starts, grandfather finally said, "You two will make a beautiful family. I know you'll be happy. It's just that it's hard for me to let my daughter go." "Enough of this gloom, old man," her sister interjected. "You should be happy for her. You should be celebrating like everyone else. In fact, I'm going to go light some incense." With a depression of her thumb, the ridged wheel of the lighter clicked, and a haloed flame rose to sear the scented tips. She held its red roots against her forehead, prayed for health and fortune and children for the new family, and planted the golden bouquet firmly into the ash of the bronze urn. At the moment the incense was wedged into the ash, a shrill pitch rang above the general commotion, a taut, piercing scream. "There's a gecko." Indeed there was. A lizard had intruded upon the party, having scrambled out from under a chair and across the floor, weaving through the maze of leathered soles and pointed heels, causing all in attendance to flinch and spill their drinks and jerk their feet like stringed puppets, enacting an epileptic dance to the soundtrack of hysterical shrieks and shrieking hysteria. Ma looked on, unaffected, as the creature scampered under the dress of the woman in yellow. It's on me, get it off," she screamed. She kept her balance on one leg while the other flapped about, like a fish yanked from briny depths. Her arms clawed for the hem. She thought she felt its moist skin on the inside of her thigh, and having lost her balance on one high-heeled leg, she toppled over. Some of the men struggled to keep her upright, while others tried to lower her to the ground. Caught in this bipolar pull, she became completely helpless, a mere object of amusement that could do nothing but scream, and each one of her desperate cries provoked a reflex of cacophonic laughter. Aunt looked on, unable to resist a smirk. How deserved, she thought, to show up to a wedding in such an outrageous dress. Ba set his drink down and rushed over to help. He thrashed the billowing folds of her dress, his arms lost in its cascading drapes. He grabbed and shook the various folds, his hands submerged in the ebb and flow of fabric. He looked like a little boy playing on the shore, digging for treasure in the sand, while the foamy crests of the oncoming tide splashed up and down. The lizard soon reappeared. With one resounding stomp, Ba tore off its tail and one of its hind legs. The others joined in and stamped their feet. The walls shook, the windows clattered, the furniture shuddered, the door clapped against its frame, the statues of the bodhisattvas trembled, and a few sticks of incense fell over. They trampled until its gelatinous viscera was smeared across the floor. The woman in yellow was on the verge of collapse. Ba asked if she was okay. She wiped the sweat from her pale forehead, smiled at him with an awkward familiarity, and thanked him for his help. It was he who first laughed, and then she laughed, and then they laughed together, their gaiety indiscernible from that of the merry crowd. Ba merged back into the group, slapping shoulders, shaking hands, drinking liquor. "Those things are impossible to catch. It must be a sign of good luck. I propose a drink," someone exclaimed. raising a toast to the carnage. Glasses clinked and rose to lips. The meniscus of liquor dropped in some the depth of a sip, in others that of a gulp. Ma remained in the corner, having watched his dive into that woman's gown. Her mind stumbled in retreat from an emotion she could not identify. She remembered those lonely nights before the sewing machine, pressing and releasing the pedal to join together pieces once disparate. She looked on now as he walked around to mingle, her new husband in a black fitted suit who seemed like such a different man today. In a paradoxical moment of sorrow, desperately holding on to something that seemed to be vanishing for reasons unknown, she reminded herself that it was she who made that suit, that with her own two hands she guided its seams toward the pulsating sting of the threaded needle, under the light of a single bulb, while seasonal rains overflowed sewers to spread a soup of refuse all over the city. The old man had been watching too. He was going to say something to his daughter, but instead he took a long drag off his cigarette and spread the fiery sting of liquor over his tongue. Thank you.